What up, yo? How we doing? Earlier in the day, I'm not used to streaming at this hour. You know, it's 4:30 my time, I think. So yeah, it's 4:35 my time. So a little bit different today, but obviously, you know, just a normal thing. It's a Bulls game. We gotta talk after the Bulls game. But it was a fun one. Bulls were in Paris, France. And obviously, I have to say, I love that the NBA is doing a good job of trying to expand the game globally, you know? Water bottle, I apologize for that noise. But yeah, just it's awesome to see the NBA try to expand the game a little bit better globally, and trying to get a little bit more outreach to the international fans, because I don't know if you guys know, but international fans, they really do have it pretty rough. Obviously, if they have access somehow to the games, it's not ideal sleep time, or it's like in the middle of their sleep schedules, so like it's rough for them. Or it's like early morning, so live games aren't exactly an option for them for most of the time. So to see the NBA do this is really awesome in my opinion. And I'm really glad the Bulls got chosen to go out to Paris and put on a show. Luckily for the Bulls, they went out and took care of business, which is obviously the biggest thing that this Bulls team needs to do right now, because this Bulls team has unfortunately not done well against the sub 500 teams this year. If you do not know, the Bulls have the same amount of wins against over 500 teams as the Milwaukee Bucks do this year. I believe both teams have 16 wins against teams that are over 500. Okay, so just kind of do the math, right? That means the Bulls have only won 5 games against teams that are sub 500 or 500 or below, I should say. So I don't know what the hell is going on with this season, but this at least seems normal, right? Where this Bulls team finally gets a win against the sub 500 team. We've seen the Bulls beat the Pistons already this year. Obviously, the Bulls, their winning streak against the Pistons, I think, extended to 12 or 13 today. So that still continues, which is good. Bulls took care of business in this one, and it was good to see that, as they beat the Pistons pretty convincingly, 126 to 108. This was a Detroit Pistons home game technically, so luckily for the Bulls, this was not one of their home games. But it looked like it was a whole Bulls home game out there with all the Bulls jerseys. So it's awesome just to see all the Bulls fans internationally. So I'm very, very happy to see that. And you could just from everything that the beat reporters were talking about and all the players were talking about, it seemed like Bulls were very well represented out there during their time. A lot of Bulls jerseys were seen. There's a lot of Bulls fans everywhere, so it was just overall awesome for what I've heard. And I'm gonna guess we're gonna get more film from the trip after they come back, which is fly home tomorrow. So long trip home tomorrow. But glad that at least for when I've heard that they've enjoyed their trip. So I'm happy to see. I think one thing I want to talk about before I get into like the nitty gritty of the game here is this Bulls schedule is kind of interesting. They had a lot of back-to-backs early in the year and like a lot of 3 games in 4 nights because of this Paris trip. Actually, the Bulls their last play game was January 15th, so that was a bit ago. Actually, right? It was a little bit since the Bulls played. Sorry, I'm gonna turn on the music a little bit there. And so they had a pretty extensive little break before they played in Detroit, and I was a little bit interested to see how the Bulls would come out in this one, right? After not playing for a long time, and obviously, you know, they're jet lagged, they're in a different time zone completely, in a different country. I wanted to see how they come out, because I wouldn't have been shocked if they came out kind of slow, and they came out with you know, some issues. But they actually, I mean, they came out pretty well. They got off to a very early lead. The Pistons called timeout pretty early on. So that was awesome to see. But now, because they're in Paris, obviously, the Bulls got to fly back here. So their next game is not until Monday, actually. So the Bulls, they basically don't get to play 1 game this week, which I think overall was a good thing because DeMar DeRozan did return in this one. He looked overall pretty solid. Obviously, he missed the last 3 games due to a quad injury. It was quad strain, and so I think this was kind of huge to have this little break. Obviously, it's awesome for them to go to Paris, but I think it was also just good for them to get a little bit of rest and to hopefully heal up some body parts because you know, DeRozan was a guy that I was a little bit worried that he might miss a few more games than we kind of thought he would. I think people kind of thought he just missed 1. I'm like, he's probably going to miss 4 or 5. And then he missed 3. Got to play in this one. Obviously, then he gets to rest and recover before Atlanta. So that's obviously good. So I'm glad that the Bulls get some rest here. And I'm happy to see that because this Bulls team needs some rest. They desperately need some rest. Because DeRozan obviously needs to get healthy. And we all know that Zach is kind of dealing with something right now. I'm also gonna say that I think Zach has been dealing with a knee issue again. But we'll talk about that a little bit later in the stream. But in this one, Bulls won every single quarter. That's what you got to do against these teams. Okay, you got to win basically every single quarter. I honestly don't care if you win it by 1 point or 10 points. Just please win the quarter. And the Bulls did that. They won every single quarter in this one, which to me pretty much showed that they were in control of this one throughout the entire game. Very efficient shooting, 54% from the field. They got up into the 90s in terms of shot attempts, which is also really good. But rebounding battle was very even in a sense. Unfortunately, the Pistons did get 17 offensive rebounds. That's a little too much, in my opinion. But I don't think it really hurt the Bulls too much. Assists were 23. Obviously, Billy Donovan and crew talked about getting this number to 25 plus. To me, that's not necessarily something that is a huge thing, but I'm all right with this being at 23. Bulls had 11 steals in this one. We saw that the Bulls were everywhere on the court defensively tonight, and I applaud them for that effort. They also had 8 blocks. I didn't know if they had blocks. That's a shocker to me. 14 turnovers, which seems like a lot compared to what I saw during the game. I thought the Bulls actually didn't turn the ball over that much in this game, so I'm pretty happy overall with how they control the ball and didn't have any sort of like unforced errors. And we didn't see the Bulls really shoot themselves in the foot in this one. And the biggest thing for me actually is that the Bulls didn't have a drought on offense. Honestly, I think if you could say there was a drought, it was the beginning of the 4th quarter, where it just seemed like nothing was going right for the Bulls to start that 4th quarter, but they hung on just fine. A lot of just kind of missed gimmies that I'm like, hey, you should make that. But there wasn't necessarily like a big drought in this. Awesome to see. And I'm overall pretty glad that the Bulls offense is finally starting to look. There was also some craziness about what the score was for this game. This is the official score, it looks like. So it was 120. At the end of the day, all I care is that the Bulls won, right? I don't need to know anything else. Bulls, if they win, that's good. So yeah, Bulls won in this one and took care of business. Just say a effectively that the Bulls did led throughout the entire game. Pistons did not lead at any point. Bulls had 60 points in the paint in this one. Pistons overall play small. I know they have Isaiah Stewart. I know they have Jalen Duren. But in the end, they do overall play small, and that does not mean post up. Okay, I want to make that very clear. That does not mean go into the post and try to post up these guys. What this does mean, though, is you need to be attacking the paint all game. Okay, attack the paint all game, whether that's through the pick and roll, that's just through drives in general. Attack the paint, get paint points, or at least paint touches. You're gonna be just fine if you do that. They won the paint battle, right? 60 points in the paint, that's good. 54 given up, that's a little too high in my opinion, but I can live with it. And then second chance opportunities, the Bulls actually won this, which is actually kind of interesting. They have fewer offensive rebounds, but they won the second chance opportunities. Don't like to see the Detroit Pistons get 10, obviously, but that's that. Fast break, it was high-paced game in general. Detroit had 6, Bulls had 9, but I can't complain too much. I did think the Bulls made a concerted effort to run out. So yeah, obviously biggest news, I think, we're not talking about Paris, obviously, is DeMar DeRozan came back, and I thought DeRozan looked very, very good out there. So nothing to complain about with DeMar DeRozan. His first bucket today was a dunk. He had 5 turnovers. I didn't even recognize it. I did not know DeMar DeRozan had 5 turnovers. But he looked like he was moving well, and I think that's the biggest thing, is that seeing DeRozan after missing those 3 games and having this extended period of time off, how is he going to move? And he looked to be moving pretty well. So I just pray that nothing else happens with that quad. Just please be good for the rest of the year. I don't want him to re-aggravate it and potentially lead to a bigger injury. So he looked good out there. I didn't see any issues. I want to hear him talk, obviously, after the game. But we're going to see. So he looked very good out there. LaVine led the way with 30 points. And I was having a big discussion on Twitter about LaVine, his kind of shooting woes recently. LaVine's 3-point shot has been definitely messed up because of his hand. He's dealing with a hand injury right now. He said torn ligament in like a press conference or like a post-game interview or something like that, and then it came circles around Twitter. I don't know what exactly is. The Bulls have said it's not that, but with the way that he has to wear this now hand guard, I won't be shocked if it actually is like a pretty major sprain. It doesn't look like it's dislocated or anything, but there is clearly something wrong with his hand. So that's been affecting his shooting of late. But the biggest thing that I've been seeing from LaVine, even though his shooting has been messed up from his hand, and then also I do think that Zach did tweak his knee against the Boston Celtics, where he almost single-handedly won the Bulls that game, Boston, where DeRozan went out. I do think that he actually tweaked his knee in that game, and since that game, his lift has not been the same necessarily. Like we saw him go on that very hot stretch to start the year in January, and his lift looks so much better then than it does right now. His lift still doesn't look very good in general, but he's getting to the free throw line. So I guess that's the kind of the biggest thing for me, is that even though his shot isn't there and his lift isn't necessarily there, he's getting to the free throw line suddenly. I don't know what changed, but I'm gonna be happy with him getting to the free throw line. So maybe he took a few notes from DeRozan or something when DeRozan was sidelined, but during the 3 games that DeRozan missed, he was averaging 12 free throws per game. And then in this one, he comes back and DeRozan's back, and I was kind of thinking, well, is he going to get the same calls? He shot 9 free throws. So it seems to still be effective with whatever he's doing. So if this gets into the free throw line, do it more. Because if he can get to the free throw line, like, that's just going to skyrocket his efficiency. Because we know that if Zach is, in general, just right, he can obviously score in bunches. If he adds, 8 to 10 free throws per game, then we're looking at even higher scoring numbers. And with more efficiency. So I hope that continues for him. So this increase in free throw rate. Defensively, I thought he was also all right. He got back cut a few times today, but I thought the rotations overall for the entire team, this includes DeRozan. I thought the rotations were pretty on point tonight. I have nothing to really complain about with the defense. Only thing I do have to complain about is the rebounding. I will say that, but The other parts of the defense, I didn't have much of an issue. Vucevic got off to that great start. He got off to 8 quick points in the first quarter. Got an early double-double and before the halftime. And then finished with 16 points and 15 rebounds and 6 assists. So we're seeing a little bit better effort of getting Vooch involved just in general. And I'm going to talk about it a little bit more about how the Bulls can effectively use Vooch again. Just because I'm going to be that guy and want to talk about it more and more. What's going on, Magugula? Watching this game while at school, it was worth it. I'm glad you figured out a way to watch it during school. Because I know if I tried to do that in my school, I would have gotten caught. But good job figuring that out. Hope you enjoyed it during school. It is definitely weird to be talking to you guys at 4 or something right now. I'm used to it being at night. But yeah, glad to see we still have people coming in, even though it's close to 5 o'clock. So yeah, just shows you how sports is like literally ingrained in our schedule, right? We all know the time of the Bulls game. We all know when the game ends. So then you know what? We're ready for post game right after. So it's awesome to see. It's awesome to see you guys. It's different time than usual. But the biggest person I want to shout out today is I want to shout out to Derrick Jones Jr. He, I think, played a very solid game. And this dude has been kind of all over the place in the rotation, and has been kind of in and out of the lineup. And then he's playing the 4, he's playing the 5, he's playing the 3. So he is officially in my I wanted to see what the rotation would be when DeMar DeRozan came back, because when DeRozan went out, we saw Vucevic kind of go into that second unit, and then Drummond's minutes suddenly just. And that to me was not a shocker, because I think you need to have either one of Levine or Vucevic out there at all times with DeRozan being out. We saw the very similar rotation in this game where DeRozan's back, but Vucevic was still part of that second unit, and so that means Andre Drummond is not playing right now. So I don't know what that exactly means for Drummond's future with this team, but Vucevic is playing with that second unit along with DeMar DeRozan, at least for now. So I'm going to be very interested to see what that's going to look like moving forward. Maybe this was just a one-time thing since DeRozan came back, but very clearly Donovan has shifted his rotation, but Derrick Jones Jr. has been in and out of the rotation. He's been taking on all these different roles, and he put up a damn good performance today. So I want to give a big shout out to him, because he was a major spark plug in this community. Just awesome to see from Derrick Jones Jr. I hope he can have the success with whatever role he plays, because he had some nasty lob finishes that I thought were awesome to see. For the Detroit side, just I want to briefly talk about them. I am looking forward to Detroit's future in general with with their young players and everybody that they have. Someone like Jaden Ivey is a guy that I'm overall pretty high on. I do like Jalen Duren. I'm not exactly that high on him though. Obviously, Cade Cunningham's out, right? So they're missing their number 1 overall pick. I am interested to see where this goes. My issue with them is just that I don't know how, let's say they don't, they're obviously on their way to potentially drafting Wembanyama. So if they do that, then this potential, or the ceiling of this team, in my opinion, skyrockets through the roof if they get Wembanyama. But, if they don't get Wembanyama and they don't get Scoot Henderson, I don't know exactly what the ceiling is in the future, but I'm going to be very interested to see who stays and who goes, right? I think the backcourt is pretty much set in Cunningham and Ivy if they don't get Scoot Henderson. And then I do like Sadiq Bey. I do like Jalen Duren. But other than that, I'm not exactly looking at many of these guys as keepers for them moving forward. We're going to see the Detroit Pistons 2 more times this year. So I've, more of a chance to talk about them a little bit later. But I want to talk about that a little bit. Biggest thing for me, I think for now, just kind of for the upcoming future and the near future for the Detroit Pistons is, who is going to trade for Bojan Bogdanovic? The Detroit Pistons traded a first-round pick to get Bojan Bogdanovic. They then signed him to an extension very quickly after he got traded to Detroit. Now, I think a lot of people were kind of confused. We're why would they do such a thing? Well, the reason why is that they can now get more for Bogdanovic if they do trade him, right? Instead of trading Bogdanovic to a team that is going to potentially only have him be there for a 3-month rental, he's going to at least be there for them the following season. So that is going to bring more value back to the Detroit Pistons. I think Bogdanovich was kind of brought in just to be the veteran presence, but they also knew that they're going to look to move him pretty quickly after he got here. So Bojan Bogdanovich was obviously like their go-to guy tonight. I don't necessarily think he is like a scoring option on a championship caliber team, but he is a damn good role player to have, whether it's starting or off the bench. So I'm going to be very interested to see who's going to take Bojan Bogdanovich on the trade market, because he is very much up for sale. Yeah, just very interested to see what's going to happen moving forward with Detroit. But they got to face the Bulls in Paris, and unfortunately they lost, which they're rebuilding. So it is what it is. So I want to move on to just this part right here. Let's see if I can actually. Not sure if they're gonna give it to me just that here. I swear to God, this is glitchy recently. The NBA website. I wanna. They typically have like, you know, the like little clips of each play. It might not be ready yet, but it's also glitchy and it's also in Paris. So I won't be shocked if they don't have it in general. So I'm gonna go to YouTube next portion. But let's just talk about the Vooch post up again, okay? Because I'm sick and tired of this whole, hey, let's post up Vooch more and everything like that. Stacey King didn't really say it in this one necessarily, in this game, but I'm like, look, man, this is the reason why I'm like, we have to understand moving forward that if we're gonna use Vooch correctly, and if he's gonna actually stay on this team, which again I think he's getting traded. Who knows now because he's played so well recently. Which I guess in this one though, like he kind of had a rough shooting game, but overall just a good game from him. Sorry, I know you guys heard that, but all right, I'm bringing up YouTube TV to kind of talk about this. So, let's just watch the Bulls here, and their first couple of plays. Okay. This is how, in my opinion, the Bulls should be using their full effectiveness. Okay. Sorry, computer is a little slow right now. All right. There we go. So I'm gonna consistently just drive this home when it comes to my streams, when it comes to my Twitter, when it comes to anything now. And I might even make a video about it when I start making videos again. But look at how the Bulls use Vooch in this play. Okay, it's top the key and it's a pick and roll, right? And this right here is this was going to be a double pick and roll or a double screen set by Vucevic and P. Will for Zach, and then we saw P. Will kind of slip it very quickly, which then pulls the defense down. So there's nothing there on the initial action. All right, Zach comes off the screen. He could have definitely shot that, but he decided not to. So instead of then right here where we've seen so many times where the Bulls would just say, hey, Vooch, get down on the block. P. Will, you clear out here. I'll come up to here, and then we'll dump it down to Vooch right here. Like, instead of just throwing Vooch down to the post immediately, they run the pick and roll again with Ayo Dosunmu, okay? And Ayo obviously is much less of a pick and roll threat than Levine or DeRozan, but you see here that it's still, this pick and roll still creates a good enough space for Vucevic to get a wide open shot off him. And just look right here how much space there is. And then you come over and finish the play here. That's a wide open 18-footer. Okay, and he knocks it down. I'm like, hey, that's how you use Vooch correctly. That's exactly how I want to see Vooch used in this Bulls offense, right? And it doesn't have to be Zach or DeRozan always running that pick and roll, right? It can be P. Will, it can be Ayo Dosunmu, right? It could be a lot of different guys. So let's look at the next play. This is the next play for the Bulls. Okay, in transition, the Pistons missed, nothing there. On the fast break, so let's slow it down and run our set here. And this is Zach. It's a pick and roll with Vooch, right? And Zach rejects the screen, but you see Isaiah Stewart here. He has to come on over to cover up Zach from just having a direct line drive to the rim. So in my opinion, I think Jaden Ivey didn't do his job correctly, because if you're Jaden Ivey, you want to send Zach over the screen, right? But you allowed Zach to get a step on you projecting the screen. So for Zach now, he just has to take one more step. And if you're Isaiah Stewart, you're all the way over here when your man's here, okay? So that's way too much space for you to come out and get after Vooch. Wide open, 19-footer, and he knocks it down. This is how you use Vooch, right? This is exactly how you use Vucevic. You don't post him up. You don't try to get him into the post and draw the double team. Instead, you run the pick and roll with him. And again, this is against the Detroit Pistons team that, in my opinion, is small, okay? I think this Detroit Pistons team in general is a smaller team than the Bulls, with Isaiah Stewart and Jalen Duren as their centers. Okay, they don't really have that much interior size when it comes to their bigs. So their shot blocking isn't exactly amazing either. So if you're gonna use Vooch's size in this one, it's not posting up. Okay, because I'm gonna show you later a play where Vooch actually does post up. And you're going to see how the Detroit Pistons are able to defend it. And that even though that Vooch has the size advantage, he's not able to take advantage of it. So, again, here we go. I'm just going to keep hammering this point home. Let's see. Let's watch another pick and roll play here by the Chicago Bulls to get Vooch good inside position and a good look in the interior here. Okay? So, those first 2 points were jump shots. Okay, so I mean, that's perfectly fine. They're wide open 17 and 19 footers. All right, pick and roll with DeMar DeRozan this time. Pick and roll, and this is a nifty pass by DeRozan behind his back. And now Vooch right here is standing at the free throw line with good interior position against a 6'8", 6'9" Isaiah Stewart. So Stewart can't block his shot right now, and Vooch is in the center of the floor, right? If Vooch was here on the block, the Pistons have a much easier time double-teaming Vooch to get the ball out of his hands. So he can't take advantage of his size there. But because of the pick and roll is being played, then this gets Vooch much better interior position where he can catch the ball here, right? He's catching the ball right here. You can't double-team this, right? Because if, let's say, you're Jaden Ivey, you come over and double-team this, well, Io's wide open. If you're Bojan Bogdanovic, you come over and double-team this one, then Vooch is just going to pass to the P-Will baseline for a dunk, right? The double team is not effective in this situation because Vooch has too good of interior position, and it's a little bit of a floater right over Isaiah Stewart, and it's a bucket. This is how Vooch got his first 6 points of the game. Okay, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, look, they're playing through Vooch." I'm like, yeah, they're playing through Vooch, but it's not through the post up, right? It's never been through the post up. You're supposed to play through Vooch through the pick and roll. Okay, so now what I want to do. Gotta find, I think it's in the second quarter, where the Bulls actually run a post-up play for Nikola Vucevic, and it doesn't necessarily go well, and you might be like dunking or cherry picking, but this has been the case, in my opinion, throughout the entire season, okay? This isn't something that I'm just like, hey, Vucevic struggles to take advantage of his size in the post suddenly. Like, no, that's not what I'm saying here, but in general, you're seeing that teams can effectively guard the post up, even if they're at a size disadvantage. Okay, so while Vooch is definitely very skilled on the low block, that does not allow the Bulls to just suddenly start posting them up consistently. Okay, so here's the post up that everyone's been calling for, right? Everyone wants a post up for Nikola Vucevic. Stacey King's been calling it. Kendall Gill's been calling it. Will Purdue's been calling it. And as much as I love those guys, we're talking about modern NBA basketball, okay? The NBA in today's world does not rely on post-ups, okay? If you're ever posting up, it's to pass, okay? It's never to look to score. So everyone's calling for the post-up because Vooch is a very skilled center in the post-up, which I agree with. He is a very skilled center. But is it an efficient and effective offense? No. Is it analytically a good offense? No. It is not analytically a good offense. And look, I even say, though, that I think it's fine to post up Vooch if he has a mismatch on him. But what I do not want to see is Nikola Vucevic posting up when he has a big man on him. AKA when Jalen Duren, who is definitely smaller than Vooch, but is still the big man for this Detroit Pistons team. This is what Billy Donovan calls out 5. If you look at the sideline, he'll go like this. He'll say 5. right? Which means it's a cross screen post-up play for Vooch to come over and get onto the low block here. And Kobe White sets the cross screen, and Vucevic is now posted up against Jalen Duren. Okay, this is what everyone wants for some reason, right? This is what everyone's been calling for, and this is what everyone thinks is the best way to take advantage of Vucevic's skill set, which is to go ahead and post up Nikola Vucevic, no matter who the hell is on him, no matter if he's bigger or smaller on him, just post him up. And I'm here to tell you that this is the incorrect thing to do. Okay, right here, right? This is what everyone keeps saying to do. Let's watch this play. He has the post up. He has plenty of time here. Okay, this is 12 seconds left on the shot clock. He has half the shot clock to work with right now. So let's get to work, Vooch. Right? Face up, back down. Okay. Well, you've just passed it right back out. This did nothing, right? You see here what the Detroit Pistons started doing, right? They started sagging off DeRozan. They started sagging off Goran Dragic to take that ball out of Vucevic's hands. That's what they want to do, right? They want to go ahead and take this ball out of Vucevic's hands immediately, right? And they don't want Vuce shooting in the post, which is like, oh, that's a good thing, Duncan. See, he's drawing the double teaming where he's making a defense shift on him. But my thing is this. Smaller teams, they understand how to rotate, and they're more effective at rotating because they play small. They have more mobile guys out on the court. Therefore, when they double team a post-up opportunity, they're able to get back to their man pretty quickly. And oh, by the way, the Bulls lack three-point shooting. They don't have the three-point shooters out there to effectively take advantage of Vucevic getting double-teamed in the post, okay? The person on the strong side here is DeMar DeRozan, who is well known to not be a three-point shooter. Goran Dragic is then next, and he is a pretty decent three-point shooter in my opinion, but he is definitely not a sniper. The best three-point shooter in my opinion is Kobe White right now on the floor for the Bulls, but he's all the way over here, and even if he was over here, they'd still sag off of him because they rotate to him first, and Derrick Jones Jr. is not a threat from three-point range, right? So you see here, Vucevic, he passes the ball back out, and oh look, the Bulls got nothing in that 5 seconds of Vucevic in the post-up, right? The Bulls legit got nothing, okay? Vucevic backed him down, didn't get anywhere against Jalen Duren. He faced them up, got nowhere, and so he saw the Detroit Pistons sagging off with their defenders to come over and help, so he throws it back out to Goran Dragic. Now suddenly the shot clock's at 7, right? And what do the Bulls resort back to doing, right? They don't throw it back into the post, right? That's not what they do. Instead, they run the pick and roll. And this is the reason why I'm like, why can't we just run the pick and roll in the first place, right? Instead of going through the post, let's just run the pick and roll, because guess what? Nikola Vucevic in his first 6 points that he got in this game was through the pick and roll. That's how he got his points. He didn't get through the post up, he got through the pick and roll. He then got his 7 and 8 points through a post up, but it was a transition opportunity where he had a very small guy on him, and it wasn't even a post up. He was just stealing his man down there. This, to me, is why I'm like, we can't be thinking, hey, let's post up Vucevic. You have to run the pick and roll with Nikola Vucevic to take advantage of his size, because the defenses, the NBA defenses today understand how to double team a post up and then effectively rotate and cover up all the shooters. Okay, you cannot take advantage of the opposing team's lack of height through a post up anymore. You have to take advantage of it through the pick and roll. I apologize about that notification. Let me turn off my email notifications there. So they run the pick and roll here. This is where I want to see Vooch just dive, right? They got the switch. Alec Burks is on Vooch right now. I just want to see Vooch dive right here, and then Dragic give him the ball, and then just go ahead and lay it up and in. Instead, though, we see Goran Dragic take a step back 15-footer. He ends up missing. Vooch didn't get an inside touch. He did not touch the paint in this play, right? Which to me is a problem, right? Even though he posted up, which everyone in their crazy minds, Stacey King, all these people are saying, hey, post up Vooch because he's gonna get inside opportunities. Well, they posted up Vooch, and guess what? He didn't touch the paint in this possession, right? That's a problem. That's a serious issue. So instead of posting up Vooch, let's run the pick and roll. Let's run that pick and roll and have him roll hard to the basket, because guess what? The last time he scored off that pick and roll was inside the paint on an 8-foot floater. That's what I want to see. So I am going to be driving this home consistently until I start seeing changes within the Bulls community, Bulls Reddit, or Bulls fan base, and even Stacey King, until he starts to understand, like, if you truly want Vooch to be used, if you truly want to play through Vooch, if you truly want Vooch to take advantage of his height against smaller teams, it's not through the post-up. It's going to be through the pick and roll, right? Vucevic is a hub of the offense. He is not just a post-up player, okay? He is effectively at his best when he's in that pick and roll, right? Because he can do so many things in that pick and roll. He can obviously fade back to the three-point line. He can take the mid-range shot. He can drive it to into the basket. He can just score in the paint in general. But he can also then pass it to the weak side if he draws over a rotation, right? That's why you use Vooch in the post in the pick and roll. You don't use him in the post up. Okay, posting him up, while it can effectively draw a double team, again, defenses are basically made to cover that up much, and they can just easily do it now because of how mobile they are on the defensive end, right? You see this Detroit Pistons team, they basically play like two guards like a guard and like three forwards right out there, and then a very mobile center in Isaiah Stewart or Jalen Duren. Right, so posting up Vooch and drawing that double team, they're able to just cover up the shooters, and when they come over and double team, they're able to recover pretty quickly. So let's not do that, and let's take advantage of Vooch's height somewhere else, right? And here's the thing that I want Bulls fans to understand. I understand that everyone's like, "Oh my God!" But Vooch is he's such a good passer. He's able to just throw. He's such a willing passer. He's not a black hole. I'm like, that's all fine and dandy, and I understand that's a good trait to have. But at the end of the day, I want Nikola Vucevic taking the shots, right? I don't want Alex Caruso taking the shot. I don't want P. Will taking the shot necessarily, unless it's a catch and shoot 3-point shot. Like, some of these role players, like, as much as I love them, I would much rather see Nikola Vucevic shoot 20 plus times per game rather than see, some of the role players get 10 to 12 shots off of Vucevic's pass, right? I want to see Vooch take the shot. And for him to get those looks where he can take advantage of his size, where he doesn't have to face a double team coming at him, well, pick and roll, right? Because if you run the pick and roll with him and he's able to get that good inside position off the pick and roll, they can't double team him. He's in the middle of the floor. If you double team him there, then it's a wide open three or it's a wide open dunk, right? And he'll make that right pass. So, yes, Vooch is not a black hole, but I want him to effectively use his passing in the pick and roll instead of using his passing off the post, right? I think Donovan kind of had the right idea initially. Then all of a sudden he started calling post up plays for Vooch, and it's like, man, like I don't know what to do with Billy Donovan right now. Like, good win tonight, made some good adjustments tonight, but like he's got to understand how to use his players effectively. And for the most part, I think he's kind of done that with Vooch until recently, where the post up plays suddenly become like a staple in their offense. And I'm just like, man, I personally don't want. So, just run pick and roll with Vooch, please. Let's not do anything else, right? Again, if he has a small guy on him, if he has a 6-foot guard on him, and he has good post position, give it to him, okay? I'm not saying don't do that, right? I want the Bulls to do that. But if we're talking about him posting up Isaiah Stewart, Jalen Duren, right? Let's get that out of the way. Let's not do that, right? Like, I could not stand it when the Bulls posted up Vooch against Jarrett Allen when the Bulls were facing the Cleveland Cavaliers at home, okay? And this was in their overtime game at home. The Bulls posted up Jarrett Allen in overtime, and I'm like, why are we doing this? Like, this is one of the best defensive centers in the NBA, and you're putting Nikola Vucevic up against him in the post, and while Vooch is obviously very skilled, his points per possession in the post is not very good, right? It's not very efficient. And in general, the post-up option is just not very efficient. So doing that is putting your offense at a disadvantage, okay? Posting up Vooch is legit putting your offense at a disadvantage, especially when you don't have the shooters out there to take advantage of the double team. So let's just get this out of the playbook and let's run the pick and roll instead, because I overall do think that the Bulls kind of did go away from Vooch. We obviously saw that LaVine and DeRozan had it going, and you're supposed to run it through those two guys first, right? Analytically, it is better to run it through those two guys. So they did just that. But, Vooch had 19 shots. I could have easily seen him having 25 shots in this game. He did his role. He obviously shot 5 threes and missed all 5. I would like to see those go down at least. But the Bulls kind of went away from him, and it's because that they kind of went away from the pick and roll as well with him, right? They started to just go away from that pick and roll play, which the Bulls won, right? It's not that big of a deal, but I feel like it's something that could be used a little bit more or spammed a little bit more, especially when it's like a close game and you get a bucket. Well, instead of having Vooch fade back to the 3-point line, instead of having him post up, let's run the pick and roll, and he rolls hard right to the paint, because I feel like that's going to be a lot better with him potentially being a scoring option down there than him posting up or fading to that 3-point. So that's my little rant. You're probably going to get more of these little rants from me about the Bulls and their pick and roll, and them posting up Vooch, and all the other people in the Bulls world saying, post up Vooch, let's post up Vooch, let's post up Vooch. And I'm here to tell you, let's not do that, okay? We need to get out of the 90s, okay? Bulls fans, I understand that Michael Jordan is your superhero, and hell, he is one of mine as well in terms of what he's done on the basketball court. I love his mid-range game. I understand in the 90s that it was post-up central, right? You just post up your center, you post up your power forward, that's all you did. That's a different era, okay? And then even into the 2000s, the early 2000s, it was still that era, right? You posted up Shaq, you posted up whoever, right? Tim Duncan made a career out of the post-up game. But we're in 2023 now, okay? We need to get out of the 90s. The post-up is not something that you should be doing, right? Jokic and Embiid, they're anomalies, okay? And even their post-up, in my opinion, is what I would call an isolation. And that's a little bit different than a post-up, right? So, if we're going to be talking about post-ups, it should be only to pass, right? It should not be to score. It should not be to look to score or take advantage of Vucevic's height. But in the end, that it is what it is. But the 90s Bulls didn't post up that much. In the triangle, though, you would still see the pinch post and the low block still used. Yes, the Bulls did not have like a center or a power forward in the 90s that they would actively go and look to post up. But Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen would actively be in that pinch post in that triangle offense, and would that was a staple, right? And it was also like a kind of a go-to when the triangle offense didn't really go anywhere, right? One thing about the triangle offense that I think people don't really understand is that, like, obviously there's not really a play being called, right? But one of the things you need in a triangle offense is basically a get out of jail free card, right? Or basically a bailout option, okay? The only reason why the triangle offense works with these teams that have these crazy shot makers is because the triangle offense needs to have a bailout option, right? Because you can run that triangle offense for 20 seconds and get nowhere, and suddenly you're kind of just like, well, what do we do? Well, good thing we have a Michael Jordan, or good thing we have a Kobe Bryant, right? That's the bailout, right? So you would see a good amount of the time that the bailout would be, all right, nothing happened in the first 18 seconds. Jordan, post up. We'll just throw it to you down there, and you'll take care of business, right? So the Bulls, like, yes, they didn't post up like the Utah Jazz or the Houston Rockets or the New York Knicks did, right? Or I guess I should always bring up the Spurs, right? But it was still effectively part of their offense, right? And Jordan had a post-up game, as every great player does. Like, they always have a post-up game in their arsenal. But yeah, it wasn't like the main option that we saw the teams. But even so, I still say for all Bulls fans, even if the Bulls did not post up much in the 90s, still get out of the 90s, because we need to be launching threes. Okay, the Bulls only took 23 threes in this one. Dak only took 6 threes. I understand he's had a rough time shooting, so I can live with him not shooting as many threes in one. But again, in my opinion, he should be shooting 8 to 10, even more than that if possible. So I still say to Bulls fans, get out of the 90s. I apologize. I thought I turned that off. I'm gonna hide my screen. So yeah, I'm still here saying get out of the 90s, because we need to see this team start putting up 3-point shots and not taking as many mid-range shots, because we're still seeing a few too many mid-range shots. And I'm not talking about DeMar DeRozan. I'm talking about other guys as well. They gotta get out of the mid-range, right? If they can. I'm not saying don't shoot it. You always need to have a mid-range game in your arsenal, especially if you're a great player. But effectively, though, if you can shoot that 3 ball and the team's giving it to you, you shoot the 3, right? Don't take a mid-range shot if the 3-point shot is available to you. We always say, hey, the Bulls lack shooting. Well, they can fix part of that themselves by just shooting more threes. Okay, if you lack attempts from 3-point range, you're not going to make threes. It's very simple. It's obvious stuff that we're talking about. So I just want to see that be changed moving forward. And I don't think it's a diamond thing. I think it's kind of just like a everything issue with this team, where some of these guys got to start learning, like, instead of taking that mid-range shot, hey, let's maybe shoot the 3 instead. Moving forward from here on out. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that my email is being put on silent. And I don't know why it's not changing. Give me 1 second. I apologize for hiding my screen. All right. I think I got it now, so should be good. But either way, I'm not gonna get too upset about this, overall topic, right? I do think in general that it is something that just needs to be worked on, right? It's not something you can change during a season, right? This has to be kind of like a change that needs to come during the off season. Coaching staff, but it's also part of the players to kind of start adjusting their games a little bit, right? Zach to me, his game just in general is perfect for modern day NBA basketball, right? The dude is a phenomenal 3-point shooter. He gets to the rim and finishes effectively around the rim, right? Which is the 2 most analytically best ways to score. Now, I've always said, though, that if you only have those 2 things in your arsenal, you're never going to win. Hence the Houston Rockets when they lost to the Golden State Warriors, when they missed 27 threes in a row, right? I've always said that. Like, you can't just be relying on threes and layups to win you basketball games. So with Zach, though, like, he doesn't just solely rely on that. He's able to get to the free throw line. He's able to shoot the mid shot. He's able to run that pick and roll, right? He's able to do multiple things, which is why I'm like, hey, he's kind of perfect for today's NBA world. I'm not saying let's go be the Houston Rockets, right? I'm not saying that, okay? But what I am saying, though, is that if we're going to continue to complain about the Bulls' lack of 3-point shooting, well, I think we should first start complaining that we see guys taking 2 mid-range shots when instead they should be shooting threes. Because, again, you're not going to make threes if you don't shoot threes, okay? And the only way to start making some threes is if you just start shooting them. So Bulls' lack of makes is partially because they don't shoot the damn 3 ball. And it's just kind of inherently in their nature to shoot the mid range instead of shoot the 3. Like, for example, Ayo Dosunmu, he shoots the mid range more effectively than the 3 ball, and I understand that. He's always just kind of been a mid range player in general. Well, he's a guy that I feel like can extend out and be like, no, I'm going to shoot more threes. Okay, he shot 3 tonight. He made 1 of 3, but he 6 of 8 from the field today. A lot of it were layups, so I don't think it really counts. But I just want to see him shoot more threes instead of seeing him pass up on those opportunities. Alex Caruso only shot 1 3 today. Like, to me, that's ridiculous. And I thought he turned down a few shots. And I know I'm nitpicking here, and the Bulls won, but Caruso, you gotta shoot those threes. Okay, you're a 39% 3-point shooter. Well, it doesn't matter if you don't shoot the 3 ball. Shoot it. Patrick Williams, he made some 3-point looks on some catch and shoot opportunities. Great. He also then passed up a 3 to take a mid-range shot, and he made that mid-range shot. But I'm like, you should shoot the 3 ball instead, because I know that you're very, very capable of making it, and it wasn't like the defender was in your face or anything. So it's just something that I'm always looking at moving forward. And also when it comes to changes with the roster, right? I'm looking at to make sure that we get some of the best guys that work analytically, and not just guys that we're kind of looking at strictly defense only for this team. So, yeah, just stuff to keep in mind moving forward for Bulls basketball, and hopefully they can get out of the 90s of what I like to say. Because, again, let's not. I don't want to post up. Effectively not an option. Now, again, I I do think if, especially come playoff time, like the post up then becomes an option. The playoff atmosphere, if the if you're facing a good defense that is taking away a 3-point shot, that is taking away the paint, right, and it's taking away your main options, okay, then the post up becomes an opportunity, okay. But when it comes to being a main source of offense, though, that's not something I want you to do, right? The main source of offense should never be the post up, okay. Main source of offense should come somewhere else. If that's being taken away, sure, we can then post up, and that's kind of the reason why I've always said I wanted Zach to get a post up game. But like, I'm not here to say let's have Zach LaVine post up, multiple times in a game, right? I want him to have it in his arsenal in case that's the only thing the defense is going to give him. But that's not something I want him to do consistently, right? Same thing with DeMar DeRozan. I do think that DeRozan is an effective post-up player because I've seen him take advantage of smaller guards all the time in the post. But that's not something I want him to do all the time. Not something I want him to do consistently. If it's there and that's the only thing the defense is giving him, sure. But if the defense is giving you that pick and roll, is giving you that paint, take advantage of that instead. Okay? Let's not go right to the post-up right off the bat if we don't have to. That's kind of the end of or the main conclusion. Let's not post up unless it's absolutely necessary. Because then you're gonna see, the defense has to have to adjust to that, right? Instead of them looking to take away other parts of the game, to be your main parts of the game. That should have already been at the start of the game. So yeah, just moving forward, I hope the Bulls just start to figure that out. But look ahead at the schedule here because I do think it's important to kind of look ahead. The Bulls, they have an easy, in terms of winning percentage against opposing teams, they have an easy schedule remaining. When we look at the standings here, the Bulls right now, after this win, they're 3.5 games out of 6th place. So again, this little 6th seed that I've always kind of thought is in from a possibility. It's still there, right? Obviously, the Bulls have dropped a few games that I thought they should have won, and it would have helped. But it's there, right? It's definitely there up for grabs. And even if you don't get to here necessarily, like I still think you can get to the 8th seed, right? The 8th seed is 2 games out, and the Atlanta Hawks have also had their issues this year. So, yeah, I just think it's something to kind of look at. But moving forward from here on out, though, this, in my opinion, is a pretty big game against Atlanta. It is after the Paris trip, so hopefully the Bulls aren't going to be too jet lagged. But I think you need to get this one at home against Atlanta. It's going to help you tremendously in that win against the Hawks. Charlotte is then after that. I don't know why after the Bulls Paris trip we're in a back-to-back immediately, but it is what it is. But this is a game that the Bulls should win, right? You're against Charlotte Hornets, who are not very good. You should win. And then they face another bad team in Orlando. Win this one, okay? Orlando's down here. So these are games that the Bulls should win. You then go and face the LA Lakers. So this is going to be interesting. It's going to be at home. We'll see if I think Anthony Davis still won't be back at this point. But the Lakers, they've played a little bit better recently, but they're still down here at number 13th, but they do have 20 wins now. So, it's a possibility. They're also not that far out of the 6th seed, right? It's even closer than the Bulls are to this. So don't take them lightly. They obviously have LeBron, but there's winning percentage. Again, winnable. And then we start February against Charlotte, so another very winnable game. Against Portland after that, which again, winnable. And then San Antonio after that, which is again winnable. So in my opinion, for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games, like these in my opinion they're winnable games, right? So get these wins, right? You can't take your foot off the gas pedal just because you just won one game against the Detroit Pistons. Right? You gotta get these wins. These are wins that are up for you to go get. And if you can get, a nice little win streak going here, or at least in my opinion, win at least 8 of the 9. Maybe you lose that Lakers game because LeBron's LeBron. Um, Suddenly, then you're looking at a much better standings, right? It's just it's insane that this Bulls team is continuing to struggle against the poor teams. But this is your chance. And here's the thing, like I feel like this team has been given a lot of second chances this season because like we've had a lot of rough stretches, and it's like, well, after that stretch you don't really deserve a second chance, but then here we are again. So I don't know. But even after this, after this nine game stretch of like winnable games, and then we face Memphis, Brooklyn, and Cleveland, which these are tough games. I don't expect the Bulls to win. I still then think that we still have some opportunities, right? Indiana, obviously the Milwaukee, Brooklyn tough, but then it's Washington, Toronto, Detroit, Phoenix, Indiana. Like those are winnable games again. So this Bulls team has winnable games coming up here. It's not like we're facing the Milwaukee Bucks and the Denver Nuggets like many times moving forward, right? It's going to be a lot of winnable games against winnable teams that are also kind of struggling. So let's kind of prove to the rest of the league that you're not one of those teams, right? You're a little bit better than those teams that are having some rough patches. So this is it. This is, in my opinion, this next 9-game stretch is going to define the season, right? If you win those 9 games, you're in my opinion, you're at the very least you're at the 7th seed. I think you would be at the 6th seed, honestly, with the way the Miami Heat and New York Knicks have been kind of inconsistent. So this is it. This is truly going to be the test. DeMar DeRozan's back. I know Zach's kind of banged up right now, but he's playing, and Vooch has been on a very good stretch recently. So I don't really see many excuses. I know Lonzo's still out, and Devontae Green is still out. But I don't expect Lonzo Ball to play this season, and I think that should have been an expectation at the start of the year. So to me, this is it, right? This is truly gonna define who you are as a team. So good job taking care of business against Detroit tonight. Let's move forward and get that one against the Atlanta Hawks next time at the United Center, because that's gonna tremendously help you in the forward a lot. And the Atlanta Hawks, they're also kind of having issues. So. Right? I mean, we're not the only team with issues right now. So again, no excuses forward. For now. But all right, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me after this Bulls win against the Detroit Pistons in Paris, France. I think this is again a very awesome thing the NBA did. I'm glad the Bulls had a chance to go on the trip. A lot of cool pictures, a lot of cool little videos that we got to see. I'm sure we're gonna get even more content. Bulls Twitter and YouTube pages about the trip after they come back home. But biggest thing is obviously the Bulls, they took care of business, right? I know it's supposed to be a trip to have fun and a trip to be an ambassador for the NBA. Well, you also got to take care of business of your opponent, and they did just that. So, take care of business. Now, come on home, rest up, get your rest, right? You've had a nice little lengthy break here with the one game in between. And come ready to face the Atlanta Hawks on Monday. Get that one at home. But again, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, even though it's a very different time than we usually hang out. I know I'm usually streaming at night, but it is a Bulls game, and it's Paris, so different time zones. So we accommodate. But if you have not already, I do appreciate if you hit that like button on the stream. It helps me out a lot. If you're new to the channel, like Bulls content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and then I'll see you guys either for a video that I might be releasing soon, or after the Atlanta Hawks game. All right, see you guys. Peace.